Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. Well, it isn't, as I speak to you right now, it isn't first ice yet, but first ice is not far ahead. And even over the last weeks, we've had skim ice forming in the top of areas where there wasn't current, back bays and little ponds that don't have a lot of water. That ice has sort of disappeared now, but it won't be long before we have ice again, and then it will start forming more and more. And that first ice, now I'm going to add a word on to first ice that's so critical, and that's first safe ice. When it first becomes safe to walk out there in the water or on the ice and drill a hole and start fishing, that ice has got to be at least 3 inches thick and hopefully a little bit more. Now, they'll go out with 2 inches of ice. I know this, and there's always people that go through the ice as well. But with 3 inches of ice, that usually is the beginning of ice fishing. And that can be the best time of the whole season. And you might wonder, okay, why is that any better? Well, first of all, the fish haven't, in the area that you're fishing, they haven't been fished in quite a while, because there's been a span of time from fall until this first ice when most people weren't fishing. So the fish weren't really molested during this time. But just as important, the water that they're in under that ice isn't as cold as it will become as time goes on in the winter, as the ice gets thicker and fish start going to deeper and deeper water. And so number one, they're still going to be able to move better than they will later in the winter. They're going to be more reactive to what you put down there than they will later in the winter. And they're going to feed probably more often and more vigorously than they will as the water gets colder, the ice gets thicker, and we hit those real midpoints of the winter. It's not that you can't have great ice fishing in the middle of the winter. That's not what I'm saying. But first ice can be really a special time for ice fishermen. And the people that really do follow this sport, that avidly love to get out there on the ice, they know this. They can't wait. They're licking their chops to get out there and start the beginning of the winter ice fishing period. So it's something to remember. If you are going to ice fish this winter, 2 things to remember. Number one, and more important than any other, is safe ice. And we'll talk about that every single week. But the other thing is, if you can find a safe place when the ice first comes, it can be a wonderful time to ice fish. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.